ladies and gentlemen.
Giggity. All right.
Seems quiet. Too quiet.
I'm Batman. Gotham is never safe without me. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock. Okay, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You can attach towers? Shut up. Impromptu performance this evening, which I must say was indeed a welcome distraction. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. You're very kind.
This is gonna be funny.
Hello. Good evening. Welcome. It's Sunday. Another magical Sunday. Hi, Stone Mama's mama.
I'm Batman.
Birdie Cat, I know you're looking, but congrats on slipping in there and grabbing first place right from under Jesse's nose. She just took it from you. But good job on almost second. Although, Jesse, I'm going to say this real quick. I've noticed for the past few streams now, at least, that you have been there waiting and ready before I have been waiting and ready. If that makes sense. So I just wanted you to know that I see it, I recognize it, and gosh darn it, thank you. Means a lot to me. Stump Mama's mama is here. Hello. Brexter. Good evening, sir. And Kay. Hi, Kay. Welcome in. It does make sense. I love to be here. Well, I love having you here, so thank you so much. Seriously. I'm excited for this book. I really am. It's going to be good. I do also recognize that before we start reading, I need to do some of the workouts. I don't know how I had to type something for first. Oh, you didn't know? Wait, it makes you type something? That's not accurate. I mean, that's not how that's supposed to work. Hold on. That's weird. Oh, haha, haha. Hey. All right, well, I've updated that, so thanks so much. I had no idea. So thank you for enlightening me. That has now been updated, okay? So, yes. Thank you for the follow after almost 4 years.
Awkward.
No, I'm just kidding. That is kind of funny, though. Bless your heart. All right. As usual, I was hoping for a relaxing weekend. Was it? No, it was very busy. Shocker. But it was a good weekend. You know, it wasn't like bad. Friday, I felt miserable. I took the day off work, but after some true rest, I started feeling a lot better. So yeah. Was that a southern bless your heart? Yeah. Bless your heart. All right. I owe 20 squats, 20 push-ups, 20 hammers, and 20 curls. I'm not going to do all of those this second, but I am going to do some of them. So, without further ado, before we get into our amazing story for tonight, let's do some workouts. You're welcome to work out with me if you like. Let's see. I think we'll start with some push-ups, yeah? Okay. Good talk. All right, we got the push-ups out of the way. Came walking in to see him doing push-ups. What'd I miss? You haven't missed nothing. I'm just catching up on those things up there. I'm eating, so I think not. I don't want my food coming right back up. Well, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, man. All right, so I got the push-ups. Squats. Hi, Killa. Waddle, waddle, waddle. New studio? Yeah, pretty much. Woo! Mad Locust, hello. Where is... Here it is. Let's get rid of our squats and push-ups. There we go. Good stuff. Thanks again for inspiring me to read. I actually enjoyed my first chapter of a visual novel game called Until Then. I had a ton of fun reading out loud. That's amazing. Kudos to you. That's fantastic. Seriously, I love that. Awesome stuff. Let's see if my tea has cooled down just a touch. I need to take one little tiny medicine. Oh, Blissfully delicious. Yay, meds. All right, let me show you your puzzle for tonight. It looks like this. And I have our book here, which has not been opened, no creases, nothing. As you know, we don't read ahead. Never read ahead. So let me switch over to the read scene. I'm gonna read the back of the book. We're gonna open up our marbles race, and then we're just gonna get right into it. Okay? It's gonna be amazing. I love that you guys are here. Thank you so much. I bought my house and 80% moved in. Yeah, killer, that's awesome. I mean, that's what happened with all of this. It's basically just from the move and being able to dedicate a space, you know? Killer, that's amazing. Did Ons come and help you? Did he? Don't lie to me. I'll find out. He can't right now. He moves in May. Okay. But you had friends from work that helped. So that's good. All right, because, you know, moving sucks, okay? I don't care what you say about tips and tricks. Moving just is hard. My camera is also not centered.
Why do you do this to me?
Close enough. All right. I'm going to read the back. Exclamation point, revenge. To get more information about this book, about the author, which we have read a book from before, by the way. Very excited to get into this. So here's the back. If you loved Conan Doyle's The Hound of the Bakersville, prepare to be enthralled by K.D. Sharenford's captivating follow-up, The Whistle of Revenge. The deadly antagonist Jack Stapleton makes a spectacular return to the city of Milan in pursuit of his old nemesis, the celebrated Detective Sherlock Holmes. Adopting the enigmatic persona of Janus, a vengeful Stapleton, along with the Italian mafia, wreak havoc on the Italian horse racing fraternity and fledgling car manufacturing industry, and kidnapping Holmes's beloved son as part of their evil and well-executed master plan, Operation Whistle. Will Holmes, Irene Adler, and their trusted ally, Inspector Romano, crack the code, rescue the boy, and unmask the deadly Janus? Set against the backdrop of modern Milan, mind games and misdeeds of the highest order play out as the story reaches its thrilling and memorable conclusion. I mean, if that doesn't scream fun detective stuff, I don't know what does. I also just realized I forgot to open my window. I can't just get it together, man, okay? I'm gonna go do that real quick, otherwise it's gonna get hot. We open the window, we close the door, keeps the cold air in here, and keeps me happy. Happy enough. All right. without further ado, I'm going to crack open this baby. Crease the page. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Looks like we have a prologue. And then we get right into chapter 1. So this story goes... Ooh, there's a really cool index in the back too. Very long index, actually. 316 pages of wonderfulness. So, yeah. Let's start the races. This is going to be one of those exclamation point play to play. Wait a minute, this doesn't look like a frickin' lap race. Nope, sure ain't. Frickin' annoying. Anyway, 60 seconds on the clock. Good luck. I'm sure it'll be amazing. I swear I'll never move again after these last 4 years. I mean, moving's just, yeah. We can go on and on about the joys of moving. But let's talk about something better. Like this book. Okay. As I said before, I really appreciate you guys being here. I love reading to you. It's just as much for me as it is for you. What you get out of it, I can't tell, but I hope it's worth it. And if it's not, change your mindset, and then it will be. I'm just kidding. Hi, Gemma. Good to see you.
Honk, noise, 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 honk.
And there's the honking. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, I gotta follow somebody. No, I don't want to follow me. There we go. Following me is no fun. Play, damn it. All right, prologue. The advantage of any long-term relationship was that after settling into a stable and, at times, predictable routine, the man you adore can sometimes surprise you. That was how it was with my husband, the world-famous consulting detective Sherlock Holmes. 11 years after our first encounter, Sherlock and I finally found our inner peace. Our unconventional marriage and enduring love affair were fundamental to our happiness. As I often worked away in London, our acceptance of being apart was a form of intimacy that only enhanced our relationship. There were many astonishing aspects of my marriage to Sherlock Holmes. Elias, really? Alias, Luca Sapori. He agreed to my request to remove the word obey from our marriage vows. Instead, he asked that I love and honor him, and I had no problem with that. Who won? Oh. None of us. None of us finished that race. What a terrible start. All right, well, we'll try again, shall we? Why should I expect you to obey me? He'd said. You're my wife, not my servant. When we reaffirmed our vows, I knew for the first time what it was like to be in a loving marriage. Whatever people might think of Sherlock, he was never one to shirk his responsibilities. As a keen observer of human behavior, my husband's ability to assess complex situations and discern pragmatic paths was extraordinary. Like others, I was frequently perplexed by his critical views and egotism, although I knew it wasn't because of selfishness or conceit. To Sherlock, it was impersonal. And Newfiggle, thank you so much for raiding. My gosh. Hi. How was the rest of the cooking? Emily, Suzuki, Deva, hello, welcome in. OMG, get me in this race. Yeah, you're there.
Oh my god, we got the car! Oh, yes! Okay, yes, you can drive it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You love marbles? You love the balls, do you? It's okay, I understand. You gotta be kidding me. Hello, welcome in. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm a voice actor, book narrator, and on Thursdays, a trucker. But tonight, we're literally just starting a brand new book. We're halfway through the prologue, and yeah, we're gonna get into chapter 1 here very shortly, so welcome. So glad to see you. Newfiggle, thank you so much for the raid. You didn't have to come to see me. I love and adore you, though. Please follow Newfiggle if you haven't already. And for those of you that are gonna stick around, please sit back, relax. We're reading a book right now, exclamation point Revenge, if you wish to see more about the book we're reading. Exclamation point Puzzle, if you want to do the puzzle that you see on screen. Thank you, Johnny. So yeah, if you have to raid and run though, totally understand. Take care of yourselves. It's Stacy on fries. Okay, all right. Hi. Good to see you. Thank you so much. I'm going to continue reading. Like I said, we're literally just opened the first page of the book, brand new tonight. So for those of you that don't know, I never read ahead. So everything that you're hearing, I'm reading it for the first time. My reactions are just as authentic as what yours might be. So if I oops on something, it's not rehearsed. Yay for the pressure. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. I always make mistakes, and that's what makes it fun. So, anywho, where were we? Right. Pragmatic paths was extraordinary. Like others, I was frequently perplexed by his critical views and egotism, although I knew it wasn't because of selfishness or conceit. To Sherlock, it was impersonal. His honesty was often perceived as insensitive, but there was nothing callous about that honesty. Even after being apart for long periods, we had this almost telepathic physical connection, maintaining our double life as Signor and Signora Sapora. Signor. Like the tide, ebbing and flowing. Life could be complex, exciting and stimulating until unexplained moments brought out the dark side of one's behavior. My father, Alfred, used to say that disagreeable things happen to good people, and vice versa. Who could lecture us on what's good, bad, or indifferent? My husband might have something to say on the matter. Over the years, I learned that the line between the present and future isn't a solid wall or a flimsy pane of glass. Life's curtain could be closed at any time. Loyalty and integrity were precious commodities. Have you ever wondered what betrayal looked like? I often ask myself that question, and in the summer of 1906, I was about to find out. An incident was coming that would shake us to the core. Ooh, that was a fun prologue. And look at that, Emily, you won. Look at you coming in here and winning. You're a winner. But will you win it all? That's the question. You know, one thing I just grr with this game, I told it to only do lap races. I can guarantee you right now, there's no frickin' lap races in here. I'm half tempted to just abandon it and then go for the lap races. In fact, are you guys okay if we do that? Can I abandon ship and actually get some lap races so that we can do this properly? Fine with me? Fine with me? Seems all fine on the Western Front. In that case, yes. Because I hate it when it just does the single race thing instead of just laps. Like, come on now. Gotta hand pick 'em myself. I think that's all of them. Actually, I'm gonna take out. How do I take one out? I don't know. Go away. I wanted to put this one in. You know what? It's fine. Whatever. We gotta lap it up. Oh, I see what you did there. See, this is better, because then we do the laps, and then I can actually just let it follow you, you know? Okay. Go like this, and poof, the camera does the rest. That's why I like lap races, because the camera does the work. Anyway. Looks like the author just sent me a quick message. Struggling to log in. Well, that's okay. I don't know if she's here yet, but either way, doesn't matter. Does not matter. This is why we record. All right. That was the prologue. Very interesting prologue. Definitely gave me a kind of feel, the vibe, you know. Chapter 1, Neen Adler. We are in Scherzy Venziana, Venetian Frolics. Oh my god. Hades 763. Redeemed a book bonk. Ow. You didn't have to do it that hard, Hades. Hold on. I have to do this.
There will be no coming in Discord unless Atkinson is reading to us.
Just in case you didn't hear that.
There will be no coming in Discord unless Atkinson is reading to us.
Okay, I've done my part. Trying to sneaky lurk, called out. You redeemed a book bonk. There was nothing sneaky about it. Hades 763, everybody. All right, chapter 1, Venetian Frolics, Neen Adler. The year 1906 started with so much promise. A few weeks earlier, Sherlock and I took a long overdue vacation at an idyllic villa in Venice, overlooking the Adriatic Sea. Surprisingly, Sherlock's brother Mycroft extended the invitation, which probably means he wants something. The house belonged to an old acquaintance, Derek Hamilton, who worked alongside Mycroft in Westminster and used the villa as a holiday home. Mr. Hamilton was away on business with the Foreign Office for the best part of a year and inquired if Mycroft wanted to use the place while he was away. Mycroft politely declined the invitation, blaming work pressures, but he said he had friends in Italy who would likely enjoy a break. It was a lovely, thoughtful gesture, but I suspected Mycroft was still trying to make amends for his manications 11 years earlier in Fiesole, which forced Sherlock and me apart for over 4 years. We read that book. However, after a reconciliation at Christmas in 1904 at our farm on the Sussex Downs, relations significantly improved. That was also when Mycroft first met his niece and nephew, Nico and Charlotte. I felt excited when Sherlock accepted Mycroft's offer to use the villa. We deliberated over taking the children, but as my husband pointed out, Nico had important upcoming exams. So we left them in the capable hands of our trusted staff members, including their governess, Hildegard, whom the children adored and held in the highest regard. That was how I found myself on the first Friday in May, setting out on my train journey from Milano Central on a perfect spring morning. Ooh, Gemma. Coming in with the first win. "60 seconds on the clock." Sitting next to the window, I looked out at the changing landscape. The passing trees and distant localities shimmered in the glow of the morning sun against the backdrop of the vast Tuscan sky as the train gradually picked up speed. I closed my eyes momentarily as a rhythmic tugging and hissing filled the air with bittersweet memories of nostalgia. It brought back poignant memories of a trip to Manhattan with my late father, Alfred, when I was 8. It was the first time I'd ever traveled on a train. My father died in 1895, just a few months before Nico was born. Unfortunately, he never got to see his grandchildren, although he left a canny proviso in his will. Touched by his kindness, I was determined to make my father's memory count. I set up a trust fund to honor him. The Alfred Adler Foundation was a charity and bursary that nurtured the skills and talents of musicians and singers from disadvantaged backgrounds and offered financial assistance. Over the years, the foundation had helped countless performing arts members realize their dreams. My father helped shape the person I am today. He encouraged my love of music and taught me how to play the piano, supporting my love of opera. He was such a kind, generous, and thoughtful soul, possessing qualities I could only aspire to emulate. 3 hours later, I arrived in Venezia Santa Lucia, train station, to find my husband's familiar sight waiting for me on the platform. Sherlock was attired in an ulster and cap, holding his valise in one hand and a cigarette in the other. Oh, I should also mention, I often butcher words that I'm not used to. So that's a thing. And if I do butcher something that you notice, please tell me so I can butcher it less and less. My butcher's knife is quite dull at this point, and I would like to use it not nearly as much. I should get an emote. Word butcher. Have to think about that one. Anywho. I waved and smiled as those penetrating gray eyes fixed on me and gazed back with such warmth and affection. I walked towards my husband, the porter following close behind. I shook with delight as Sherlock wrapped his arms around me, holding me tightly. He kissed me gently on the lips, pushing the hair away from my... Ah, kitten, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. I need a drink, too. He kissed me gently on the lips, pushing the hair away from my face as I drank in his manly scent and the faint aroma of his cologne. Then he broke off our embrace, quickly summoning the porter to take care of our luggage, as though nothing had happened between us. We took the ferry from Santa Lucia to San Zaccaria, I think I'm saying that right, hiring a gondolier to take us on the last leg of our journey to Thump Gaming. No, I'm just kidding. Thump, thank you for the 5 bits, dude. How are you? Marcher, good to see you as well. Mr. Thump. Guys, Thump is also one of those folks that likes to act with his voice. It's true. Thanks, bud. How's the book going? You know, we're on page 5. It's going great. It's by an author that we have read from before. And, I'm looking forward to it. My expectations are up here. Not nearly as skilled as you. Stop it. I appreciate the compliments, but I'm watching you. And I lost my place. Oh my God, Gemma. Thank you for the 1,000 bits. You didn't have to do that. Gemma. Thank you so much. Let's get some shout-outs going real quick. I know we're like just getting into the first chapter. Where the hell is my mouse? We're getting into the first chapter, I know that, but KD, everybody, hold your horses. KD Sharonford is the author of this book. She's here. Sorry I'm late to the party, had trouble logging in. I saw, don't worry. We read the prologue. We just got started with the first chapter. She's the author. She's amazing. And play the clip. Come on. Stream elements, you sad sack of potatoes. There it is. Wait. Okay. That was an old one. Wow, the delay, killing me. Ooh, is that, that looks like Hunt. Is that Hunt? Hunt Showdown? That was a very random clip, Gemma. Yum, pizza. Pizza. Hunt when you had long hair.
Actually, that's not a bad one if it is.
Bruh.
That works as a joke.
That was the
Bruh.
greatest exit ever.
Lovely. Thank you again, Thump, Gemma. Lost my place again. That's twice now. Katie, it's so great to see you. Folks, Katie is from the UK. It is getting close to 1 a.m. for her, so the fact that she's here, it just blows my mind, and I do not take that lightly. So, Katie, thank you. And thank you for sending me this book as well. That was super kind of you. Right. I was reading something. We took the ferry. That's where we are. We took the ferry from Santa Lucia to San Zaccaria, hiring a gondolier to take us on the last leg of our journey to Shigoa. And please correct me on the words I'm butchering. Known as Little Venice. It was a picturesque fishing town with colorful houses, narrow streets, and a bustling market. We could only get to the town by boat from San Zaccaria or Fusina, and to be away from the madding crowd suited Sherlock and me just fine. We considered using the Vaporito to complete our journey, which Sherlock reasons would have been much quicker. But I persuaded him that traveling by gondola would be far more adventurous and romantic. After checking with the gondolier to see if our luggage would fit, Sherlock agreed to my request. The gondolier was a diminutive, wiry fellow named Adamo, with an engaging smile and a cheerful disposition. He navigated the boat effortlessly through the waterway of the Grand Canal, winding through the heart of the city, lined with historic palaces, churches, and bridges, making it a picturesque route. Oh, I won. Oh, silly me. That wasn't supposed to happen. Katie, you're welcome to join the races too if you like. All you have to do is type !play. 60 seconds on the clock. Finally, he docked outside our destination, located in its private and secluded setting. It was a quaint Venetian villa with Rigoletto charm that would be our home for the next 2 weeks. Adamo jumped out of the boat and took my hand to disembark before helping Sherlock carry our luggage into the villa. After receiving a handsome tip, the gondolier doffed his brightly colored straw hat and waved goodbye before proceeding with his journey. The house was bright, airy, and well-appointed. It offered a good-sized galley kitchen with a larder to its rear, fully stocked with bread, cheese, antipasto, olives, fresh fruit, sweetbreads, and biscotti. Biscotti. Day, what's up, Day? Jugs of fresh milk, homemade lemonade, sugar, tea, and coffee were all at our disposal. There was a welcome note from a lady identifying as Mariette, waiting for us on the worktop. Mariette told us she would serve as our maid during our stay. We should expect her to come in daily to change the bedding and bring fresh towels. God, I want to stay here. Sounds great. Is there any Wi-Fi? Nope. Don't need the Wi-Fi. Just go to unplug, you know? Besides, this is 1906, so... Wi-Fi sucked in 1906. The lounge was large and beautifully decorated, with white painted walls dotted with paintings of Italian landscapes. Sherlock helped me open the heavy blinds, revealing 2 large picture windows boasting spectacular sea views. A tufted leather settee, a chaise lounge, and 2 hard-backed chairs furnished the room, along with an ornate coffee table and a gramophone set in the corner. Next to the sitting area was a drinks cabinet, fully stocked with whiskey, brandy, and port, and holding several bottles of Venetian red wine and champagne. Blueberry Bean, thank you so much for the follow. We discovered a shelf underneath the cabinet, having a fine selection of English cigarettes, shag tobacco, and Toscanello cigars. Yes. Yes. The main bedroom with an ensuite was cozy and intimate. Its centerpiece was a 4-poster mahogany bed with matching furniture. The highly polished floors covered with handmade, richly colored Turkish kilim rugs. This place is fancy as hell. Greetings, I'm here to co-work and do some writing. Well, you are in the perfect place. I'm gonna read to you, so hopefully my reading to you doesn't mess up the writing. But I'm sure you are quite capable, I have no doubt. Enjoy the writing. We entered the bathroom to discover paneled walls and a cork-tilted floor boasting a walk-in shower, roll-top bath, a separate toilet, and comprehensive selection of towels and toiletries. We walked outside, exploring the medium-sized garden with pots of spring flowers surrounding its borders. Next to several olive trees stood a raised area serving as a patio with a table and 4 comfortable-looking, stylish, natural wicker chairs with linen cushions offering spectacular views over the commanding Adriatic Sea. I have a feeling they're going to be sitting in those a lot, because I know I would. I will have you muted because my ADHD brain will not be able to focus. Okay. All of this, the glorious weather and the sun beating down, caused me to sigh and reminisce. It reminded me of our time together at La Salle and Fiesole all those years ago. It was picture perfect. The ideal setting. A second honeymoon should differ from a more lavish or far-reaching holiday, staying in the grandest hotels. But here, in this humble yet exquisitely furnished villa in one of the most romantic cities in the world, my husband and I found the privacy we yearned for. After Sherlock and I unpacked, we decided not to go out, as we felt a little tired from the journey. Instead, I made a platter of cold food for each of us from the larder, which I took outside onto the patio, while Sherlock uncorked a bottle of champagne. At the same time, I placed a record on the gramophone. We sat gazing at the spectacular views, chatting quietly, eating our food and sipping the delicious champagne with Beethoven's delightful minuet from his piano trio in C minor playing in the background. Well, it sounds quite delightful, actually. Ooh, Kay coming in. First time playing, and you won. Don't let that stop you now. See if you can keep it on a roll. See what I did there? Because it's a ball. And never mind. We retired early, around 9, taking our champagne upstairs. Physical tension intensified during the evening, like the 3rd and 4th movements of Beethoven's 5th Symphony, which built up to a remarkable crescendo. A shy stare, a nod, a knowing look in that magnificent setting stirred our senses. Frankly, I'd been looking forward to being flirted with, anticipating the thrill of his touch. Sherlock stroked the back of my neck, untying the pins in my hair, as he'd done countless times before, until my hair fell loose upon my shoulders. And then he gently turned me around to face him, pulling me onto the bed. I leaned in to kiss him, but instead, in a golden moment of vulnerability, my lover, husband, and best friend cradled my face with his hands, lifted my chin, and gave me a soft, lingering kiss. Then he kissed me again. But the kiss was more urgent, making my head spin. An overwhelming urge to touch him washed over me. I unbuttoned his shirt, tracing my fingertips over the contours of his skin, taking in his masculine scent. Our eyes met as we explored each other. His sensitive fingers mastered my body like a concert violinist, each stroke sending shivers down my spine. We spent the remainder of the evening in a romantic dalliance as my husband made love to me with a haunting intensity that was simultaneously natural and sensual. Late as dusk descended, Sherlock lay asleep on the bed. I listened to my husband's soft breathing against the backdrop of the waves crashing into the beach. I didn't want the night to end. I felt safe, loved, and protected here. I drifted into a delightful slumber with my husband's arms wrapped around me, my head upon his chest. Neither of us stirred until dawn, when we were awoken by the sun streaming in through the blinds, the chatter of the chaffinches, a bird, I believe, and the melodious, repetitive whistle of the blackbirds hopping from branch to branch in the olive trees. What are chaffinches? Why do I feel like I've heard that before? But I can't put my finger on it. I got nothing. Anywho, it's an English bird. Okay, so maybe that's why it clicked in my head as a bird, but boy, it's been so long since I've heard anyone talk about that bird. Wow. God, I've been away from home so too long. Anywho, when I thought things couldn't improve, Sherlock surprised me at breakfast with 2 tickets for Giuseppe Verdi's Rigoletto, to be performed at the La Fenice Grand Opera House later that evening. After disembarking from the Vaporetto at the Venice terminal, we took a cab to take us on the last leg of our journey to the theater. As the coach rattled down the narrow, winding streets, the rhythmic clip-clop of the horses' hooves against the cobblestone was music to my ears. The early evening sun cast its warm glow upon the city, gliding every stone and shadow alive with a golden shimmering light that danced upon the canals. It caught the rippling reflections as we passed. The theater rose before us as a masterpiece of ornate stonework, resplendent in its grandeur, and it beckoned us forward. The impressive sign above the main theater doors showing the rising bird above the gold words, Gran Teatro La Fenice, against a blue background was a striking feature. After La Scala, La Fenice was my favorite opera house. It was a scene perfectly orchestrated by nature and design. Oh, look at that. Winner, winner, Stump Mama's mama's got a chicken dinner. I feel like anything I say compared to KD's magnificent writing style just, feels subpar. It's so graceful, milady. Venice at her most magnificent. Her charm was intoxicating as the finest wine, and one could scarcely resist the allure La Fenice presented on that fine May evening. The faint scent of salt and sea lingered in the air, mingling with the heady aroma of blooming jasmine and freshly baked pastries from the remaining colorful market stalls still open nearby. Merchants were engaged in lively conversation, their voices rising and falling in the customary rhythm of negotiations. Elegant Venetians strolled towards the theater, their laughter and voices carried on the gentle breeze. Well-dressed gentlemen and ladies paused at their promenades to look with mild curiosity at our coach. The crowd's soft murmur enveloped us as we descended and entered the theater, blending with the violinist's harmonious yet faint low strains serenading outside a nearby cafe. Over the years, I've had the privilege of treading the boards of the prestigious venue, following in the footsteps of the great and the good, those iconic performers who had walked before me. Antonio Selva designed the opera house, which was classically elegant. Its grand facade features stylish columns, a sweeping staircase, and ornate finishings. Inside, visitors marveled at frescoes, gilded moldings, and crystal chandeliers. Tragically, the great opera house burned down in 1836 due to a faulty heater. The fire brigade took 3 days to extinguish the fire, and the smoldering hot spots remained for 15 days. La Fenice was rebuilt in record time and reopened just 1 year later. Over the years, the Opera House has hosted many renowned composers such as Rossini, Verdi, and Wagner. Its acoustics were amongst Europe's finest, making it a premier opera and classical music venue. My husband looked striking that night in his tailcoat, cummerbund, white shirt, black tie, and top hat. I wore an emerald green silk dress with a silver tiara, a matching bag, and shoes. The world premiere of the iconic opera Rigoletto was launched in 1851 at La Fenice, so it felt like the opera had come full circle. Judging by the polished performances of the ensemble cast, the production was still as fresh and commanding as it always had been. I marveled at the humanity in that theater as the power of the singers' bold tones soared into the rafters of the auditorium, and the thrilled audience shrieked with delight. The dramatic journey of undeniable force has always been one of my favorites. The story is based on the controversial 1832 play Leroy Samus. Samus? Something like that. By Victor Hugo, the French writer and politician who became famous for such literary classics as Les Miserables and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The play was banned from public performance for 50 years, as it was said to include insulting references to King Louis Philippe of France. Ha ha! I insult you! No! I insult you! My. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Cody! Sorry if you keep hearing the puzzle ding, I keep getting disconnected from it. It's not a big deal. It's a natural tone that I think we're all used to by now. At least folks that have been here for a while. Not a big deal. Do your best. As the best is all anyone can do. Our good friend Enrico Caruso made his American debut in Rigoletto on the opening night of the Metropolitan Opera House in New York in 1903, having made his London debut in the same opera at Covent Garden the previous year. Enrico played the Duke of Mantua and made best-selling records of the Aries, Questa Quella and La Donna è Mobile. A mobile? Mobile? I don't know. I'm trying my best, gosh darn it. KD, I must insist that in your next book we move out of Milan and into a predominantly English place. Even American. Okay? Because I fear I'm just tearing these words up. Surely Sherlock has some crimes to solve closer to home. Right? You know, just round the corner. Maybe. Rigoletto tells the tale of an outsider, a hunchbacked gesture who struggles to balance the dual elements of beauty and evil in his life. Writing splendidly during the most fertile period of Verdi's artistic life, while at the peak of his lyrical powers. The opera resonates with a universality, thank you, frequently described by many as Shakespearean. The next book will be set in the USA. You're doing very well with some very tricky Italian words. Oh, thank God, thank you. On both parts. How do I keep losing my place? It's not that hard. I've always thought that music's evocative power was most significant when heard in live performances. The ensemble cast did nothing to prove me wrong. Oh boy. We have ads that are about to start, which I did not realize until just now. All right. Before I continue, I'm going to run these ads just to get them out of the way, and then I'll keep reading. You will hear nothing until the ads are over. Sit in silence. Lapsland. Oh, nice crack of the neck. Yes.
Honk. Noise. 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 Honk.
Hi, Purple. Thank you so much for honking at me while I wasn't looking. Oh, yes. Might help if I, do that. Purple, how are ya? You're in, Purple. I swear to God, you're in. I see you. I see you. All right, 20 seconds. And then I'll keep reading. Purple, I'll be finishing that feature wall in my living room probably sometime tomorrow. Just need that adhesive to show up, because I ran out again. To be fair, the original plan had enough tape for that, had enough adhesive, but we decided to expand and make it bigger, which is why I've run out of tape. So, anyway, ads are over. Welcome back. Sorry about that. I do them so we can try and get them out of the way. I don't want to read while ads are going, so if you did have ads, thank you for enduring them. Welcome back. If you didn't have ads, that was probably a boring 2 minutes. So, yeah. All right. We're at the bottom of page 10. Let's keep going. Tears streamed down my face as I sat spellbound, watching this spectacular production and holding my breath as the emotionally charged dramatic ending neared its thrilling climax. In a scene-stealing performance, Rigoletto sang a heartbreaking duet with Gilda, his dying daughter. It was unbelievably tense, combining melancholy, serenity, and tragedy in one great improvisation that lingered in the memory. Even though I knew what was coming in every word of the song, it was still a scene that got to me every time I watched it performed. So many of us have experienced immeasurable heartache and despair at some point in our lives. And to me, the magnitude of those feelings, that unbearable pain, was splendidly encapsulated into the sound of opera. Nothing compared. Sherlock slipped his hand into mine, and tears of happiness rolled down my face. "Thank you. What a treat," I whispered. "My great pleasure," he replied, smiling at me gently. The next few days flew by in a haze. We explored every corner of the city, feeding my husband's bohemian tendencies. Rather than booking into fancy restaurants, we preferred to make the most of our time together. We ate suppers outside under the tranquil moonlight, with the sea almost on our doorstep. We enjoyed picnics during the day, walked barefoot on the beach, swam in the Mare Adriatic, part of the Mediterranean Sea, and drank copious amounts of wine, lying on a blanket in the sand by the shore, reading and chatting. We laughed as we observed the gulls flying overhead, screeching and singing in the glare of the afternoon sun, marveling at the golden facade and the place's inherent beauty. I felt at one with the entire cosmos. When we returned from the beach the following morning, we finally met our elusive maid, Mariette. She was a lovely lady around 35, tall and slim, with twinkling brown eyes and blonde hair tied back in a ponytail. Mariette apologized for interrupting, explaining that she lived nearby and purposefully came late mornings to avoid disturbing our privacy. 2 days before the end of our vacation, Sherlock and I embarked on a half-day lagoon boat tour of Burano and Murano. The former was famous for its colorful buildings, while Murano was renowned for glassmaking. Both were perfect locations to escape the crowds of tourists. After exploring the island streams, we visited the market square. We watched the artisans at work and rummaged through the stalls where I bought gifts for the children. Sherlock knew I wanted to visit the San Zaccaria Church and the Corner Museum. San Zaccaria's church was on the waterfront southeast of Piazza San Marco. It was a former 15th century monastic church in the Campo San Zaccaria and St. Mark's Basilica. Blech. The church was dedicated to St. Zachariah, the father of John the Baptist. Its apse was surrounded by an ambulatory lit by tall Gothic windows, a typical feature of Northern European church architecture unique to Venice. Nearly every wall was covered with paintings by 17th and 18th century artists. However, the most famous painting from the church, or from much earlier, the masterpiece San Zaccaria altarpiece. It was an oil-on-panel painting by the Italian Renaissance artist Giovanni Bellini, who completed the stunning artwork in 1505. Sherlock and I agreed that we would return with the children, if not later that year, then the following summer. We even talked about buying a holiday home in the vicinity. Everything was perfect until we came home. Little did we know that there would be a price to pay for our fleeting contentment. A painful reminder that nothing lasts forever, least of all happiness. And no one could have prepared us for what happened later that summer, the abduction of our beloved Nico. As my husband said, the whistle of revenge blows long and cold. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was chapter 1. I gotta say, Katie, you have such a way of making me want to be where they are. the scene setting, I want to experience what they're experiencing. And I don't even know what half of the stuff is. I'm not an art lover. I'm not. I can admire art and recognize, something good when I see it. I'm not blind to it, but I wouldn't be able to sit there with someone and compare one's work to another and vice versa. But my gosh, you just want to be there. And I'll drink all that wine too. Just saying. It was brilliant. It was. And then, of course, the little trickle of intrigue at the end there, daring us to see what happens next. All right. Race number 7 of 16 is on the board. Oh, I almost forgot. I really like the switch up in the naming of Miss Adler. Instead of Irene, using Neen, because that's what Sherlock refers to her as. I saw that right from the get-go, and I smiled inside, because I know why you did that. So, hats off to you there. That was very clever. Is no one else going to join the race? I will win if it's just me. Alright, well, I guess it's just me. Chapter 2. Personado ad rapimento. Thinking about the kidnapping. Okay, so close. Just a mere second or two more and you would have been in there. Then I would have beaten you. I mean, you would have a chance to win. You were distracted. I mean, that happens. I get it. Distractions are a thing. All right. Please join me in reading chapter 2. Sunday, June 3rd, 1906. We're about to get hit with some nasty storms. Oh, gosh. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'd be distracted then, too. Hopefully, if you do get hit, you don't receive anything that's, damaging. Please stay safe, okay? Don't do anything stupid. June 3rd, 1906. Yes, sir. I like that attitude. It was a humid morning at our villa in Milan. The dusty street was silent, the tranquility broken only by a dog barking in the distance. The yammering of the natterjacks and the chirping of the crickets woke me from a troubled sleep. The dawn sun crept above the horizon, casting a faintly purple haze across the landscape, a soft glow that bathed the scene in an ethereal light. It lent a quiet dignity to the surroundings, a beauty unadorned and stirring within me, a fondness for this Italian land and culture that I'd come to regard as my home over the years. I slipped into my son's bedroom, but there was no welcoming smile or protestation about having to get up. Instead, the bed was empty, as it had been for the past 2 nights. Helen, our chocolate Labrador, Our chocolate Labrador foundling dog we'd brought from England wouldn't stop whining. She was pining for Nico and his sister Charlotte. An overwhelming sense of grief washed over me, trying to make sense of the whole sordid situation. I was incensed that despite Inspector Salvatore Romano, Mycroft, Sherlock's brother, and my husband, best efforts, my son's abductors still walk the streets with impunity. Super! What's up, man? Super bro. Good to see you, sir. Welcome in. Please, God, bring my son safely home. I prayed, picking up Nico's dressing gown and pressing it to my nose as I drank in his familiar scent. Where is the Mario voice redeem? Oh boy. It's me, Mario. I couldn't cry because there were no tears left. Gazing around the room, I noted my son's cello and violin in the alcove, the new strings he'd ordered that arrived only yesterday, still wrapped in brown paper. His atlas, gramophone, and comprehensive collection of shellac records sat next to a bookcase overflowing with books on science, music, psychology, medicine, ciphers, and codes. What a well-rounded young man. I picked up Nico's battered old teddy bear Rufus from the pillow, and he stared at me accusingly. I'll bring him home. I promise, I whispered. After days of tears, prayers, and unwavering belief, I fervently hoped our son would soon be found and that Nico would somehow feel our longing, the immense love that filled our hearts. I pictured him walking through the door 1,000 times like nothing had happened. My little man, albeit not so little now, Nico was tall for his age and darkly handsome. His beautiful face gazed at me from the photograph on the bookcase. My husband and late mother, Marianne, had endowed our children with the same thick, dark hair and piercing eyes. Like Sherlock, Nico was always outwardly confident in his abilities, although never arrogant. Fubar, what's up, sir? Good to see you. The esteemed playwright William Shakespeare wrote King John when his beloved only son, Hamnet, had died in 1596 at age 11. The cause of death was unknown, and he was the same age as Nico. I do not doubt that the sweet swan of Avon was writing of himself when he penned the following sonnet in tribute to his son. Grief fills the room up with my absent child, lies in his bed, walks up and down with me, puts on his pretty looks, repeats his words, remembers me of all his gracious parts, stuffs out his vacant garments with his form. Then, have I a reason to be fond of grief? I'm sure it was sung a little better than that, but, you know. One does what one can. Marble Canyon is up next. Exclamation point play. To play. Of course, I'd lost others in the past. My parents, my first husband, Godfrey, my daughter, Rosemary, and then, although not in death, Sherlock, whom I was estranged from for over 4 years after our adventures in Fiesole. Until that moment, I never knew the true meaning of unconditional love. But now the anguish I felt, the hopelessness of losing my son, and the thought of never seeing him again was indescribable. Then my thoughts went to Charlotte. How could I tell our beautiful little girl that the brother she adored and idolized was missing? Fortunately, Charlotte was holidaying in Rhodes with my dear friend Sophia to help celebrate Sophia's parents, Sergio and Gina Stefanatos. Golden wedding anniversary. Charlotte adored the Stefanatos, and they had a real fondness for Charlotte, who was thrilled to be invited to the proceedings and spend time with her best friend, Gabriella. They wouldn't return for another 3 weeks, blissfully unaware of the drama unfolding at her home in Milan. I felt relieved Charlotte was away. What if the perpetrators had taken her too? It didn't bear thinking about. I knew she couldn't cope at the tender age of 6. Nico, however, was quite a different kettle of fish. He was capable of far more than your average 11-year-old. 11-year-old. The way I said that sounded so weird. 11-year-old. At first, I thought the worst. That the underworld in London had discovered Sherlock's secret identity as Luca Sapori, and they'd kidnapped Nico out of revenge. Although I could tell my husband had his doubts. Upon discovering Nico's unexplained disappearance, Sherlock responded immediately and precisely. Before venturing out to meet with the Milano Polizia, and with scarcely a moment's hesitation, he reached for the telephone and contacted his brother Mycroft, whose considerable resources and influence could well aid the search. But after exchanging several frantic calls and telegrams, we discovered those doubts were unfounded after Mycroft made extensive inquiries with his scouts and contacts, and came up with nothing. Mycroft said it was not the underworld style to kidnap children, and had they known about our liaison, they would have instead come after Sherlock and me. Of course, Mycroft was shocked and concerned that someone had taken his nephew, and vowed to do all he could to find the perpetrators. In the meantime, he suggested we look closer to home. "Be vigilant," he yelled. "Expect to hear from kidnappers imminently, as we suspect it is someone with connections outside the city's underworld community." Mycroft was convinced, as Sherlock, that a ransom note would swiftly follow. And it did. I pondered Sherlock's return from his inquiries with the Milano Polizia with an air of anticipation. I prayed he had good news to convey and our son was safe. My husband's last words before he left that morning rang in my ears as he held on to me as I collapsed, sobbing into his arms. He took my hand and brought it gently to his lips, the piercing gray, astute eyes now dimmed. "I am going to find our son and bring him home, and then I shall bring the perpetrators to justice. And when I do, they will pay the price." He held me by the shoulders and gazed into my eyes. "Until then, Nin, I need you to be strong for Nico and our family." I nodded, smiling at him weakly through tear-filled eyes. Like me, my husband had little appetite and had hardly slept the past few nights. He had 2 days of stubble on his chin, his eyes bloodshot from sleep deprivation, and I suspected from crying, although as stoic, he was unlikely to admit to that. Super coming in, thinking he can just win the race. Oh wait, he did. Exclamation point play. Undoubtedly, our son's disappearance had emotionally distanced Sherlock and me, and grief cascaded over us like a shroud. Somehow, despite all of this, my husband managed to carry off the facade of staying positive, hopeful, and optimistic.
He did it for my benefit, and I loved him for that. I felt the man I adored slipping away from me. A failure that, to Sherlock, overthrew all of his success. Our love was simple, profound, and passionate, yet rarely spoken of, and as I was about to discover, to be sorely tested. And that, my friends, concludes chapter 2. One lovely chapter, and then everything goes to hell. Not cool, but expected. Super S bringing in first place, followed closely by
He
Football.
doesn't see us. He's chasing his bang. He hit the wall. Now he sees us. No, he doesn't.
Things get worse? Oh, I'm sure they do. It's my pleasure, Fubar. Absolutely my pleasure.
Oh, fuck, here comes number 2.
The heck?
He's got fire!
It's like a dragon bird chicken thing. Super, how is it every time I shout out your channel after hours Broalition, it's never a clip of you? Even stream anymore? It's always Rhino or Zarias. All right, folks. That's because I'm perfection. Yeah. Must be. God, this is awkward. Is anyone gonna tell him? How many kills did you get in Helldivers last night? Just curious. Was it more or less than me? I can't remember. Slips my memory. They just make funnier moments than I do. You did end on a positive note. You did such a good job. All right. We're going to read one more chapter because I want to, and I don't want to put the book down. I will drop down our race to like 4 laps instead of 5, just so I can try and time it better. But Chapter 3, Neen Adler, Operatic Antics, also known as Buffonette Lirici. I do appreciate that you put in both languages for the chapter titles. That's very good. Wow, Super winning again. Wow. All right, I'll start this next race, and then we're going to kick off Chapter 3. All right, exclamation point, play to play. Chapter 3. My mind drifted back to that unfortunate night. Sherlock had initially agreed to accompany us to the theater, Like Nico, he was keen to meet with my dear friend Enrico Caruso and happily agreed to fit in with our plans. He first raised concerns about whether our son should be allowed to attend the recital due to the late hour, but after explaining how much it meant to Nico, Sherlock finally agreed. I arranged with another old friend, Arturo Toscanini, the principal conductor at La Scala, to have supper with him and Enrico at Lafayette after the performance. Arturo and I had been friends since our first meeting at La Scala when I joined the theater chorus many years ago. However, as close as we were, there was never any question of a romantic interlude. Our lifelong friendship had always been platonic, based on admiration, trust, and mutual respect. Unfortunately, Sherlock awoke with a heavy summer cold on the morning of the recital, complaining of feeling listless and drained of energy. Dude, I get it. Illness was unusual for my husband, who had a robust constitution and was seldom ill. Despite my protestations offering to stay with him, Sherlock dismissed my concerns, insisting I proceed with our planned trip since he had no wish to disappoint our son. So later that day, Nico, coachman Mattia Greco, and I started our journey to La Scala. When our carriage approached Piazza della Scala, I remembered my son's eyes shining like stars as he gazed up at the splendor of the opera house. Like me, despite the numerous times we took in the magnificent sight of the Teatro La Scala, highly regarded as one of the most prestigious opera houses in the world, nothing could diminish our sense of wonder. The great Giuseppe Verdi, and closely associated with the great opera house until he died in 1901, while Arturo Toscanini began his tenure in 1898, becoming his company's artistic director and principal conductor, a position he still held to this day, marking one of the finest periods in the theater's existence. Nico looked grown up in his court suit, white shirt and red tie, making him appear older than his years. He reminded me so much of his father, which brought a lump to my throat. I took him backstage as we briefly chatted with friends working behind the scenes, including my old confidant, Madame Emily, head of the wardrobe department. She lived in an elegant houseboat in the Navigli district. It's a boat. It's on water. In a district. A diminutive-looking woman, always remarkably neat in her attire, attractive yet outstandingly beautiful. Those large, well-shaped, dark brown eyes gazed at us fondly behind horn-rimmed glasses. Her once jet-black hair was now bespeckled gray, tied up in a neat... Here's that freaking word again, and I'm gonna mess it up because I did last time and I never remember what it is. Oh, gosh. Tied up in a neat... I don't know. I mess this up every time. This is not a word that I see every day. Chigon? Shygon? Chigon? Like chai tea? Can't do it. I'm just a man in a woman's world trying to find my way around. Shigon. Okay. Yep. See, it's not spelt like that at all, is it? No. Oh. Anyway, Emily complimented me on my black silk point. Oh, Cody, well done. I can say the Italian words apparently, but not the English ones. Fantastic. Evening gown, while also gently teasing Nico that he was even more handsome than his father. He'd grown so much since their last encounter 2 months ago, and looked dashing in his evening attire, making my son blush crimson. But behind Emily's engaging smile was a determined woman. Her elegance was characteristic of her generation, where being seen in public was a performance and integral to the job. So she expected every character who took to the stage in one of her fabulous creations to act and dress appropriately. We staged a production of Rossini's The Barber of Seville earlier that year. It was a complicated piece, and our director, Luigi Ambrosio, a hard taskmaster, was determined to perfect every performance aspect. By the end of each day, the ensemble cast looked worn and weary. At the dress rehearsal, I remember Alessio Muratori, who played Figaro, having trouble performing the legendary patter song Largo al Factotum. He uncharacteristically fluffed his lines as he swayed from side to side on the stage, clearly a little intoxicated from the whiskey it was rumored he kept hidden in his dressing room. Like all great tenors over the years, Alessio was often on the receiving end of some waspish reviews and notices, and using alcohol as a crutch helped steady his nerves. He was bawled off the stage by Ambrosio, ordering the intoxicated tenor to sober up and to get his act together. Alessio turned on his heels in a chaotic state. "I shall never sing in this town again." Something like that. But before he could exit the auditorium, a furious Emily appeared in front of the startled tenor, staring at him over her glasses despairingly. "The wardrobe is the last piece of the production, the final step of fleshing out and capturing the essence of the characters. I have spent much time and effort creating magnificent costumes for you and the rest of the ensemble cast to wear for this opera. What I ask in return is that you have a care to look equally magnificent in them." This altercation raised a titter from the exhausted cast and me. Mind you, it was at 9 a.m. when Alessio found it hard to look the tea boy in the eye, never mind an enraged Emily. He never got on the wrong side of her again. After explaining to Emily why Luca would not accompany us to the theater, we chatted briefly about Charlotte's holiday with my dear friend Sophia Moon. As accomplished mezzo-soprano with whom I shared rooms as a first-year student at La Scala, and her husband Robert, La Scala's music director, before we said our farewells and slipped back into the auditorium to take our seats, waiting patiently for the performance to begin. Tap, tap, tap. Places, everybody. Glancing around the theater, Nico drew my attention to the first box on the left-hand side of the stage. My face broke out into a wide beam as we waved excitedly to Ava and the rest of her party. Ah, Ava. Ava was the principal soprano at La Scala. I'll never forget her heart-stopping debut at the prestigious Opera House in 1899. She was seated with her husband, Javier Anca, a talented musician, and Javier's parents, Marco and Isabella. They smiled and waved back, acknowledging our presence. Ava looked rather fetching in a navy evening dress with silver thread running through, her beautiful light brown hair piled up in an elaborate curl twisting, cascading over her delicate shoulders. She was a close friend, the daughter of Ludo and Violetta Esperato, who sheltered Sherlock and me all those years ago when Colonel Moriarty was on our trail at their beautiful, isolated farmhouse, La Sole, in Fiesole. Yes, I remember her well. That was her breakthrough moment. Ah, Ava. Since then, Sherlock and I had forged a close-knit bond with the Espirito family, including their son, Francesco, who was good friends with Nico and Charlotte. Arturo introduced Caruso onto the stage to rapturous applause and acknowledgement from the expectant audience. The orchestra played his opening song, Il fior chevavia ermetu dato, the famous flower song aria sung by Jose from Act 2 of Bizet's Carmen. Bizet's? Sure, something like that. The Logion cheered their approval as the acclaimed tenor gave a spectacular performance. Enrico's presentation was a pleasure to the senses, filled with emotion, rhythm, joy, and hope. Each masterpiece was skillfully delivered. Such was his precision. Like all great performers, we saw only the brilliance of each piece, not the prowess behind its creative power. He was undeniably brilliant, remaining in control throughout the performance, at one with the orchestra. He encouraged them to improvise in ostinato, knowing they could never diminish him. Our hearts soared, lurched, then soared again. We cried, laughed, and gazed in awe. Although the concert occurred in one of Europe's famous opera houses, it felt profoundly intimate. Super, you got something to prove here, buddy? It's only the two of us, man, right now. Calm down. No one needs to be a hero just because there's super in your name, okay? Exclamation point play. The recital and encores finished at 9 p.m. Enrico and Arturo apologized to the appreciative audience for dashing off early, stating they had a pressing appointment. Lafayette was within walking distance of the opera house, so after briefly chatting with Ava and her entourage, finally bidding them a fond farewell, we set off to the ristorante, arriving around 9:30. Renowned for its intimate ambiance and delectable food, Lafayette was busier than usual due to the World Trade Fair and the recital. I was pleased Arturo pre-booked a table in our favorite spot by the window. As we crossed the vestibule, the aroma of freshly baked bread and summer blooms invaded our senses as the head waiter, Dante, greeted us warmly before escorting us to our table. Frederic, our maître d', ensured Enrico wasn't troubled by autograph hunters and well-wishers. He told disappointed admirers that their idol was dining with friends and he had no wish to be disturbed. Enrico explained to Nico that he would consider that rude, which made my son feel incredibly important. Nico, Enrico, Enrico, Nico. Oh, it's so funny. Enrico and Arturo were lovely men. Sitting here in the room with my son and these two legends was a surreal experience even for me, a seasoned performer. Their very presence drew the attention of every soul in the bustling ristorante. Enrico was in his early 30s, with piercing brown eyes, dressed impeccably in a finely tailored suit of deep charcoal, accented by a crisply folded pocket square and a silk cravat of midnight blue. He presented the image of a man who was both regal and a gift sub. Purple, thank you for giving a sub today. You didn't have to do that. That was super kind. I spin the wheel in your honor. Hammer curls. Ooh, which I haven't done any of those yet. Well, you know the rule. It's the last stream of March, which means I still need to double these up. Yay! Now I owe 30. Thank goodness on Tuesday it won't be March anymore. Thank you, Purple. That was super kind. Day, enjoy an Atlas viewing experience. Speaking of which, how are we doing on ads? 16 minutes. Wonderful. It was very kind of you, Purple. Let's get you a shout out. I don't want you to shout yourself out. Getting up to Enzo. Ooh, Stump Mama's mama winning the race.
Close the door! Close the door!
Good God.
Close the door!
Hurry, Irish, say you're coming here!
Purple, did you just kill your friend Irish in the game? That's what it looked like. You didn't have to shout me out, silly. I wanted to. 60 seconds on the clock. This is race number 13 of 16. You may have murdered Irish that day. Well, we don't live forever, do we? Anyway, on with the show. His dark, receding hair that was neatly combed glinted with a hint of pomade? Yes, and it glinted with a hint of it. And a slight sheen on his polished leather shoes caught the light with each subtle movement. Arturo was also resplendently. Wow. Blah, 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 blah. Resplendently. God, that's a word. Attired in a smart three-piece gray suit with a white carnation in the left lapel. I do appreciate a good three-piece suit myself. This living legend, Caruso, received us with an easy smile, a spark of amusement dancing in his dark eyes. There was no impatience in his manner, nor did he exhibit the weariness one might expect of a man so often in the public domain. Instead, he seemed genuinely pleased by our presence, and his voice was rich and warm with the same resonance that captivated audiences worldwide. His expression to Nico and myself softened into one of gentle contentment. There was a quiet joy in his countenance, as if he were at peace at this moment, savoring the simplicity of a shared meal and good company amidst the familiar murmur of local voices and the soft chime of the silverware on porcelain. It struck me that Caruso was not merely a performer, but a man whose heart, like his voice, held a profound benevolence for the world around him. Nico gazed in wonder at the beautiful, cozy, intimate setting, with its ornate chandeliers illuminating the grandness of the room. Crisp, white linen tablecloths matching napkins and cut crystal wine glasses. A male string quartet on a podium in the far corner of the ristorante entertained us with music from Mozart's great works. Pictures from famous operas adorned the walls, including an oil painting of the great Niccolò Paganini, the celebrated violinist, my husband's personal favorite for whom I'd named our son, much to Sherlock's delight. Why does that sound like a little dessert treat? Would anyone care for a Sherlock delight? Anybody? Just saying. I'd try one. 60 seconds for the race. The waiter confirmed our order, which Arturo had sent through earlier. Mindful not to keep Nico up too late, we didn't bother with the starter or appetizer. The men and Nico had the Florentine steak with sea bass for me. Arturo ordered a bottle of Giulio Ferrari champagne from the sommelier to be put on ice and homemade lemonade for Nico, served in a tall, frosted glass. That sounds pretty delicious, actually. The champagne was delicious, but I only accepted half a flute. When Arturo attempted to top up my glass, I put my hand over the flute to protest, explaining that I had no wish to become tipsy. I knew from experience that champagne tended to go straight to my head. Frederick brought the house speciality for dessert. It was the restaurante's renowned homemade classic tiramisu, served with a generous portion of Italian ice cream made from a special recipe that went back generations. It was the best I've ever tasted in Tuscany. Observing my son's joyful expression as he savored each delicious mouthful, it was evident that he felt the same. The conversation flowed as effortlessly as the champagne. We spoke of music and our mutual love for the vibrant city of Milan and its famous opera house. Over dinner, Nico sat enthralled as his idol explained how he came from a poor but not destitute background in Naples. My mother sadly died in 1888, Enrico said, smiling at Nico before continuing. I found work as a street singer to raise money for my family. I performed at cafes and soirees before I was eventually discovered. Finally, in December 1900, I signed a contract at La Scala. It was one of the happiest moments of my career. Then, I debuted as Rodolfo in Giacomo Rossini at La Boheme, with Arturo conducting the first of many appearances at the prestigious opera house. Yes, Arturo agreed, and that included performing in the grand concert I organized in February 1901 to mark the death of Giuseppe Verdi. How could I ever forget that glorious evening? Enrico beamed at Arturo. But you know, my friend, you can never take anything for granted, especially in this business. He laughed, reverting his attention to a wide-eyed Nico. It's only by the grace of God that I'm here with you now, Enrico said, waving his hands theatrically. But why? Nico asked. Enrico narrowed his eyes in response. Lighting an Egyptian cigarette, he sat back in his chair and gazed at Nico intently before his face broke into a wide grin. In April, after appearing as Don Jose and Carmen at the San Francisco Opera House, I was awakened by a strong jolt. I glanced at the clock showing 5:13 a.m. in my suite at the Palace Hotel. The room suddenly began to shake wildly. My clothes tumbled out of the wardrobe. For the next minute, I thought my world was about to end, when I found myself amid the San Francisco earthquake, culminating in devastating fires that destroyed most of the city. So, I feel very fortunate to have survived such an ordeal. But what of the rest? The ensemble cast? What happened to them? Nico asked, staring at Enrico with newfound admiration. Fortunately, the Met company I was touring with were all unharmed, thank God. But we lost all our costumes, musical instruments, and sets. I couldn't get out of San Francisco fast enough. I made a successful effort to leave the city, first by boat and then by train, and I vowed upon the memory of my sainted mother never to return. They say lightning never strikes the same place twice, but I wasn't taking any chances. I felt I had a second chance at life. He laughed. With all its beautiful memories, I will be sad to leave Milan, but I'm keen to continue my European tour. But was it a vocation? Did you always want to sing? Enrico smiled, putting down his wine glass and staring at Nico earnestly. What can I tell you? Enrico shrugged. Music is my passion. As far back as I can remember, I have always sung for the sheer joy of performing. Enrico diverted his gaze to me. It's no secret that Nin is one of the world's finest contraltos, an outstanding opera ambassador. True, artistic talent involves expressing what lies behind the obvious, and your mother has this in abundance. When I began singing, my voice was like Nin's contralto, similar to the range of a countertenor before I eventually developed my rich tenor voice. I sang in a church in Naples from age 14 to hone my craft. Enrico picked up a brown paper package from the chair beside him. This is for you, Nico. A token gift to remember me by. Remember to follow your passion and never let anyone steal your dreams. Well done, Kay, taking first place. Hear, hear. All right, second to last race. Get your balls in there. Enrico sat back in his seat, chuckling at Nico's astonishment. Well, don't keep the great man waiting. Open it, Arturo said, pointing towards the package. Nico carefully opened the parcel to reveal Enrico's signed 1905 New York recording. One I was familiar with included the Brindisi, with piano accompaniment from Cavalleria Rusticana, one of Nico and Sherlock's favorite operatic songs. His face was shining with happiness as Nico thanked Caruso, holding the record as though it were a gift from heaven. He shook hands with the tenor and Arturo, and I embraced the men warmly before we said farewell and retired for the evening. Our stomachs were sated, and our hearts were warmed by our intimate connection with these two legends. Those 90 minutes after we entered the Ristorante's threshold had flown by. We left Arturo and Caruso engrossed in meaningful conversation, while enjoying a glass of port and a Canary de Oro Cuban cigar. And that, my friends, concludes Chapter 3. Couldn't remember where I put my bookmark, because now I need it. KD, masterful writing. I can't wait to get back to this on Tuesday. Oh, perfecto. I forgot to mention, my schedule has changed slightly, or if I did tell you, I've forgotten that I told you. Sunday, like right now, or Monday for you, and Tuesday is when I do my readings. Thursday, I split it up and play a game so that I can rest my voice a touch as I read a different book in a place called Discord. You don't have to know what that is if you don't. Not a big deal. So Sunday nights, Tuesday nights is reading. And then Thursday, I do something slightly different, just to help break it up and give my voice a slight rest. But, yes. Kay, good night. It was a pleasure seeing you. I hope you're well. Please keep taking care of yourself, is what I meant to say. Apparently, I have worded all the words tonight. There are no words left. I shall, madame. Grazie. I will catch you on Tuesday. After that, I'm in the USA until the 7th of April. What? Where? You're... Good night, Fubar. You're absolutely welcome. Thank you for coming in. We're gonna finish one more race after this. And then, we'll go right out to somebody. Bellingham for the SIBA Awards. Bellingham. I mean, I realize the country's massive. Oh, you're in Washington. Okay. All right. So when you're there, that's right. Yeah, you told me about this. Okay, I remember now. So yeah, so you'll be 2 hours behind me then at that point. So when I start at 6 p.m. my time, it'll actually be 4 p.m. for you instead of midnight. So cool. I wish you so much luck with that. You'll have to keep me posted. All right, the final race. The paperclip. While that's going on, let me take a look and see who's online. We have a few options. I might catch some of it. I'll let you know if I win anything. Lovely. Good night, KD. Take care of yourself, please. Silence, what's up? Good to see you. This is the final race for the evening, and then we're actually going to raid out. We just finished the prologue and the first 3 chapters of our newest book. I'm just looking to see who we can go say hello to. Man. You know what? We'll go say hi to Thump. He's not reading anything. But, he's a good guy, and I like to support him. So, that is what we shall do. After the race, of course. We gotta see who wins. It's been a march podge of participants, so I have no idea who's actually going to take it. It could actually be me, because obviously I've been in all of them. You know, had I not messed up the races in the first place, I think we would have actually ended pretty much on par with each other. Finishing the chapter, finishing the races. But man, did I mess up in the beginning. Ah, Silent with the win. I feel like there's a trend there with marbles. All right. Let's see the results. Super SB coming in 3rd place. Stump Mama's Mama in 2nd, and just as predicted, moi in first. Such a shame. Rigged. Rigged, I tell ya. All right. Let's go raid our buddy, Thump. Please copy-paste the message. Even if you're not sticking around afterwards, I know he would greatly appreciate knowing that you were here and you came with. Helps if my cursor is in the right spot. There we go. All right, there's the raid. It's been a pleasure reading to you. I'm so excited to keep this book going. We'll be back Tuesday to continue. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. Wonderful start to a new week ahead. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have an amazing night.